recharged here for this stretch run of 3 games you have in November?
Can you ask that one more time?
Are you
Sorry.
guys recharged as a team here for this stretch run that you have?
Absolutely. I've talked to a couple of the guys since we've been back, and everybody seems like they got away, and bodies are feeling good and ready to go.
How would you evaluate how your season has gone, going from, I think, entering the season number 3 on the depth chart behind Benji and Harry to being the number 2 guy and being tied for the team lead in touchdowns?
First, I want to give glory to God. Wouldn't be here without him. But the season has gone well for me. It's come with a lot of hard work and consistency. And I've talked to Coach, and that was one thing that we talked about before even going into fall camp was that I just needed to be more consistent.
Your background as a quarterback, how much did that help in moving to a new position because you know the nuances of the offense and, I guess, also learning how to block at the same time, all those things that go into being a tight end?
Absolutely. I would say it helped with my route running, just kind of knowing where Katie would like me to be to get an easier ball thrown. But as far as the blocking, that was definitely very new to me. Took some while to learn how to do that, and we've been growing at it ever since.
What's kind of the group's mindset coming off of this open week where you guys have kind of three game run here?
Some of the guys I've talked to, we're like, hey, let's go win these 3 games and get us a bowl game and show everybody that, life comes with challenges, but it's all about what you do with them. All challenges have greater meaning behind them, and we're just all trying to figure out what this challenge meant for everybody in the locker room.
What would that mean to this team, to you? You guys have faced so much adversity this year. What would it mean to kind of end the season on a high note?
It would mean a lot. We have seniors and guys that are getting ready to enter drafts and pro days and combines, and getting that extra film for those guys. The extra game instead of us playing 12 games, playing that 13th game would mean a lot, and getting those guys extra evaluation for their next big step.
Right.
What have you seen out of Florida State's defense and how your group, the tight end group, can have success on Saturday?
Absolutely. I think we could definitely get our hands on their ends. Their ends play a little higher. We stress pad level, so I think that'll be important for us is to get under their pads and get movement, help our O-line get movement on those front 4.
You might have answered this in previous interviews. What was sort of your path to Virginia Tech in the recruiting process? How'd that whole thing play out?
So originally, Virginia Tech was just always a dream school for me. Growing up through recruiting, started talking to coaches about the beginning of junior year. Everybody was kind of telling me, hey, we think you'll outgrow the quarterback position. We don't want you to move tight end. Unfortunately, I didn't have the resources to do that at my school, so I had to play quarterback. Not many people wanted to take a chance on me. I had a couple of small D2 offers. I had a HBCU offer from Howard. I had Army and Navy. But I took a shot on myself as a PWO here. This PWO offer meant more than any other PWO offer because they actually came and sat down and explained to me what a PWO offer was. They just didn't send it through an email or text on Twitter like, hey, all we can do for you is offer you a PWO. They actually came to my school and sat down with me, and that's when I knew this would be a great place for me to be.
Was that all Prize staff, or was that some Fuente before? I forget exactly when your final years of high school were.
Yes, sir. So that was all Prize staff. I had talked to Coach Quinn, Coach Bowen, Coach Rudolph, and Coach Holt.
And you didn't want to go the military route? Was that as a tight end at Army and Navy too, or were they looking at different spots?
They were looking at me as a quarterback, that old the triple option, and at first I gave it some thought, but then closer to time to commit, they told me 99% of their guys go through prep school, which would be in Rhode Island for 6 months, and I just didn't want to take that route. I wanted to play ball.
Do you ever miss playing quarterback?
From time to time. I actually, Benji makes fun of me because every time I pick up a ball and toss it around with a couple guys on the team, he's like, "Oh, man, you must miss it, huh?" And I just kind of laugh it off.
You still got the arm, though? I mean, if like you got a pitch or something like that, you're like, oh, I can do something with this.
Absolutely. If we put in a trick play, I can still throw it.
What were those first moments like moving to tight end? That's a brand new position to you. You've obviously been the guy taking the snaps the whole time. And how green were you at that position when you first got there?
Man, it was very new. Coming in, having to try to block guys like Keyshawn Burgos and APR and Cole Nelson. But then you had the aspect of I was still able to use my athleticism in the route game to where, I might have a linebacker get matched up against me that, I could make a certain move and get open. So it was all very new, but the blocking was probably the newest thing just because that's more of technique than athleticism.
You say going up against APR, was there ever a moment where you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this against a guy like this?
So my second rep ever as a collegiate athlete, I am going up against APR. I just get thrown in for a rep in fall camp, and he actually hit a spin move on me that spun me around. So like when he spun, I spun, and I just basically watched him. What would have been a sack on KD if we were in a real game.
You mentioned prep school was out of the question for you. When Kamari got here, did you go up to him and like, so what was that prep school experience like that I missed out on?
I didn't even ask him that. I just asked him, how was the whole process, how was the experience, and I didn't even think to ask him about the whole prep school process because mine was more so for Navy. I had late contact with the Army, late in recruiting, so I didn't really talk to them as much as Navy.
So being recruited by Navy, was it kind of cool to go up to the Military Bowl in 23 and get to play in that facility?
It was actually, just seeing where I possibly could have been instead of, taking a shot on myself and believing in my God and Him putting me where I needed to be.
Do you have any family members who are in the military?
I had an uncle that served in the Navy, and then I have a cousin that served in the Navy as well.
So what does a day like this mean for you, Veterans Day?
It means a lot, just knowing that there's people out there willing to sacrifice their lives. They don't have easy jobs at all. So just knowing that there's people out there willing to give up a normal life to make sure that we're free and we're getting to do things that we want to do, such as play football.
You mentioned your route running was kind of there to begin with once you moved to tight end. When KD, I'm thinking about the Georgia Tech game, their tight red zone, fourth down, he flips it to you. It looks like kind of a improvised play for the touchdown. Is that something where backyard football, because you've been in that quarterback position before, you kind of, okay, I know what he's thinking, I need to get to this spot?
Absolutely. It just all turns into a matter of, okay, get open and help my quarterback, limit as much hitting on him as possible. So instead of having him tuck it down and try to get, I think it was 2 yards, I can just slip behind the guy and let him throw it over top.
We'll go David and then Zoom.
You've got 3 touchdown passes this year. I mean, you talked about how Virginia Tech was your dream school. You ever kind of pinch yourself, now you're catching touchdown passes at Virginia Tech. What's that like for you?
Absolutely. It's still surreal. I text my parents from time to time, and I just ask them, like, hey, man, like, I know we always talked about going to school because I never really talked about, playing D1 football with my parents. It was always like, hey, you're going to go to school. Like, if football doesn't last you through middle school, you're going to go to college after. So sometimes I just text them and be like, hey, man, like, it's kind of crazy that I'm scoring touchdowns in college now. It was all a dream, and for it to start to unfold is truly an amazing feeling.
Let's go to Zoom for a couple.
On Zoom, we'll take a couple questions for Jay Rikas Hairston. We'll start with Steve, please.
Rikas, you weren't able. You did you make the trip to Florida State the last time they played?
I did not.
Okay, so say being from where you're from and following Virginia Tech for as long as you have, games like Florida State, Miami last year, getting to go to those places and play there. How important is having that opportunity, because that had to be something that appealed to you when you were looking at Virginia Tech growing up.
It's amazing to have the opportunity to definitely travel and go to these different stadiums, see what they have to offer, what their fans are like, but nothing beats home. Nothing. We've played nowhere that beats Virginia Tech's fans, and that's definitely why it's always been a dream school for me.
Okay, and then just following that with that game at Miami last year, all the emotion and everything that was in that, and the comebacks and the back and forth and that. How did that how did that kind of resolve you guys after that, as far as the rest of the season went and being able to bounce back from that?
Could you ask that question one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure. The Miami game, with all the emotion that you guys had and the way that it ended and everything, how much resolve did you guys have after that and be able to come back and have the kind of season that you had following that?
Guys just knew we had to clean up small details that kept us from outright winning that game instead of throwing that Hail Mary pass at the end.
All right. Thank you.
Any final questions for Jay Rikas on Zoom? Okay, Travis.
I will finish with Andy.
You were put on scholarship at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
What was that moment like, working out from a PWO to actually get the scholarship in hand?
So I was actually put on scholarship during the Duke's Mayo Bowl. It was amazing. Just last year I had played special teams all year. Just earning my stripes, doing whatever I can to help the team win. And at the end of, I think it was the practice before the last practice, preparing for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Coach Pryor called my parents down, and then he told us that I would be getting put on scholarship, and that was an amazing feeling. Definitely felt like I was lifting some stress off my parents, as, not only were they paying for a house mortgage, but they were also paying for my rent and tuition and things like that. So,
what is the Hairston family following to games? It feels like you always have a lot of people that are at games. It's an easy drive to get up to it.
Absolutely. I have a little bit of family everywhere, but, my dad's a truck driver, so, if it's in driving distance, they're packing up the car, leaving just about the same time we are, if not before, and beating us there. If it's like we played in Stanford last year, I have family in California. My parents, they hopped on a flight. My uncle, he hopped on a flight. So having that support system has always been great. Just knowing that, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I'm playing for the man above, and I'm also playing for my parents as they're doing anything to make sure I'm good.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.